Minasan konnichiwa, Mimiru desu. Today, we're diving into a quiet but absolutely devastating crisis that's unfolding across Japan. It's a battle that isn't being fought on the streets, but right through our phones, our social media, and our banking apps. So, let's get right into it.
So, get this. In 2024, the financial losses from property crimes in Japan blew past 400 billion yen. I mean, that is a staggering number, something the country hasn't seen in over 2 decades. But what's really driving this massive surge?
Okay, now this chart right here tells the whole story. For years and years, if you look at the blue bars, theft was the main cause of property crime losses. But check out what's happened recently. While theft has kind of stayed the same, look at the red bar for fraud. It's just exploded, shooting almost straight up. This isn't just a simple crime wave. We're talking about a threat on a national level.
And you know, this is about so much more than just money. The government itself has said that this is an attack on the very fabric of Japanese society, that fundamental trust people have in each other, which is really the bedrock of daily life here, is being systematically torn apart by these criminal networks. So, in response, the Japanese government has basically declared war. They've launched a full-scale counteroffensive, a really detailed battle plan to fight back on every single front. So, in this explainer, we're going to break down this all-out war on fraud. First, we'll look at just how big this crisis is. Then, we'll dissect the government's multi-stage plan, covering how they're trying to stop crime before it even begins, how they're protecting your money, and finally, how they plan to chase down the criminals. All right, first up, let's get a handle on what this enemy actually looks like, because the numbers behind this whole fraud epidemic are, to be honest, pretty shocking. You see, this isn't just one type of scam, it's a war on multiple fronts. The biggest culprit by far is social media-based investment and romance scams, and get this, the losses from those have more than tripled in just 1 year. Then you've got what's known as special fraud, things like impersonation scams that often target the elderly. And on top of that, there's rampant credit card fraud and phishing attacks. Each one is a different tactic from the same criminal playbook. So how in the world do you fight an enemy that's attacking you from so many different directions? Well, the government's core strategy is to build a wall of defenses to intercept criminal activity at every single stage of the crime. This flowchart breaks down a typical crime, right from the preparation all the way to the police investigation. The government's plan is designed to disrupt this chain at every single link. They want to make it harder to prepare, block that first contact, counter the deception, stop the money transfer, and make sure the people behind it actually get caught. Let's start with the very first line of defense, the preparation stage. The idea here is really simple. If criminals can't get the tools they need to operate, they can't commit the crime in the first place. The most crucial point here is to choke off their anonymity. The plan is calling for much stricter ID verification for social media and for those data-only SIM cards, which have been a huge loophole for a long time. They're also making it mandatory to use the secure chip in Japan's national ID, the My Number card, for online phone contracts. And they're cracking down on those shady, dark job posts that are used to recruit people into these schemes. And this slide right here shows just how big of an upgrade this is. The old way, just, uploading a photo of your driver's license, was super easy to fake. The new method actually requires reading the secure encrypted IC chip on the My Number card. That makes it exponentially harder for criminals to create anonymous accounts to hide behind. Okay, so what happens if a criminal manages to get through that first wall? Well, the next phase of the plan is all about protecting you and your money during an active attack. Now, this is a big one. The government is pushing social media platforms to stop being so passive. They want them to start proactively filtering out suspicious DMs and to display clear, unmissable warnings before a potential victim can even read the scam message. It's all about stopping the attack at the very first moment of contact. And at the same time, the entire financial system is getting a major security overhaul. This includes things like lower initial transfer limits for new bank accounts to minimize any potential damage, and much smarter real-time monitoring to flag suspicious activity. And crucially, banks will now have a system to instantly share information and freeze accounts across different institutions, which stops criminals from quickly moving stolen funds around. Now for the final part of the strategy. Let's say a crime has already been committed. How do you make sure the criminals don't just get away with it? This is about bringing down the hammer. You see, for way too long, many of these criminal groups have operated from overseas, hiding behind international borders and uncooperative tech platforms. Well, these new measures demand that these foreign social media companies establish an actual legal presence in Japan. This makes it mandatory for them to respond to and cooperate with police investigations. The era of them hiding offshore is hopefully coming to an end.
And law enforcement is getting a major toolkit upgrade too. They'll now have the power to force telecom providers to save communication logs for investigations, they'll be able to use new undercover techniques, and they'll have better ways to analyze encrypted devices. They're also partnering internationally to seize criminal assets, no matter where in the world they're hidden.
So, the government is building this massive fortress of new regulations and technologies. But this brings us to the final and maybe the most crucial question. In this constant cat-and-mouse game between security and crime, can any system ever really be foolproof? Or, at the end of the day, does the ultimate responsibility still rest with us to remain vigilant as that final line of defense?
このチャンネルが興味深いと思った方は、チャンネル登録といいねボタンをよろしく。